Okay, so if you've been in the loop, you might know or heard of TikTok, and it's been banned recently. On January 18th, 2025, servers went down and they just wouldn't be able to be accessed. But only for the USA. Land of the free, baby! Now, you're probably wondering why, so let me briefly explain on the events that happened. Before that, we should first take notice of the insane popularity of the app. Now, its initial fame came back in 2020, COVID era, back when grass was just a myth. Many people spent hours scrolling and passing the time, as most people would at the time. And since the TikTok algorithm was so good at what it does, which its point is to keep you there for longer, people stayed on there way longer than they probably ever expected to. And to explain the algorithm, it's basically an ingrained system where it judges the next video you'll probably also like based on the last two. So, two videos about maybe tacos, and then the next video you scroll to will probably be about tacos or Mexican food, etc. That's how they keep you there longer. And so the USA, good old America, took notice and realized, oh, the CEO is Chinese. Well, we can't have that. How dare! How dare he try and make a company and be Chinese? That is basically what it came down to. Because they looked at the man in charge, the CEO, and decided racism was in order. Now, the company is ByteDance, I suppose, according to Google, and is a Chinese company. So that means it is technically a Chinese owned app, but its main popularity was in the West. Now, China even has their own version of it, so I don't really know why that would be necessary, but it doesn't matter. And also, if you know anything about politics, or even none, such as I, then you know China and America aren't the best of friends. America actually has a history of this, where they done this once before, and they blacklisted Huawei, a phone company that used to rival both Samsung and Apple, only to be banned because of their association with China, and since companies have ceased working with them altogether, American companies. Now, the US government has now set their sights on TikTok. TikTok was initially supposed to be banned, and they thought, I guess, it would be seamless. However, it takes a long time for them to make this decision, not only because do they have to go through the entire court ladder, they have to go through many different courts just to get this one app banned, and the CEO would not hold up, nor would the fans. And by that, I mean they fucked around and found out. And what they found out is that they made enemies with the scariest force to have ever existed in the human race.
Angsty teen.
I'm gonna be real. They made it difficult. During all these court cases that happened over the course of the few years, and yes, years. So if you've missed this, then damn. But yes, it's been going on for years. Let's just say, more or less, it didn't go so great for America. Even though, yes, they have been getting up the ladder, they gave us the most hilarious display of the American political system at work.
Mr. Chu, does TikTok access the home Wi-Fi network?
Only if the user turns on the Wi-Fi. I'm sorry, I may not understand the.
So if I have
Question.
TikTok app on my phone and my phone is on my home Wi-Fi network, does TikTok access that network?
It will have to access the network to get connections to the internet, if that's the question.
Is it possible then that it could access other devices on that home Wi-Fi network?
Congressman, we do not do anything that is beyond any industry norms. I believe the answer to your question is no. It could be technical. Let me get back to you.
Okay, I'd appreciate it if you can answer that.
Amazing. They don't even know what Wi Fi is, they don't even know how Wi Fi works. Splendid. Many months later, and the bill slowly made its way up the court ladder, eventually reaching the Supreme Court, which is like the final boss of the court to ban this app. Now, the Supreme Court was supposed to announce their decision January 18th. And let's just say, TikTok themselves assumed that it was all over for them. So they even preemptively decided to cease operation in the US. And so everyone was counting down the hours, the minutes, all the way to the seconds, till the app inevitably was dead in American servers, only to come back 12 hours later. After the ban first took place, seconds turned to minutes, and minutes turned to hours, and then everyone realized the Americans had no answer. The Supreme Court just wasn't going to answer. They didn't announce anything. And so, TikTok came back 12 hours later. People who had the app could still use it. So, what happened? All those courtings took place during Biden's presidency. And if you didn't know, the election recently happened, and Biden stepped down, and also Trump won. Why is it important that he won? Well, it's because he is insanely in favor of keeping TikTok around. He isn't letting it up. He's already extended the ban by 90 days. So we can't really get a conclusive answer until around end of April. Also, since Biden only had a few more days in the White House past the ban, I guess he just decided to extend it until when Trump came into office. And so, what does this mean for TikTok? Well, it has been extended. That doesn't mean it's still not up to the Supreme Court. It still is. So, it's all up in the air as of now, unless, I guess, Trump decides to do anything within those 90 days, which he seems like he's gonna. Something that's also important to take note of is that the moment TikTok sank, everyone jumped ship and swam to this app called RedNote, an app similar to TikTok, but is 100% China owned, resulting in people from both sides talking to each other, having wholesome interactions. But the main reason America wanted to ban TikTok was so that this wouldn't happen. So I guess every American was like, screw that, we're going to do exactly what they didn't want us to do. And so they did. So whatever they're banning TikTok for supposedly doing, leaking information to China, people are directly doing it just through RedNote. And some people are straight up pledging allegiance to the CCP. So it's kind of crazy. Because of RedNote, the court is now faced with a new dilemma. Not only is TikTok still around, but everyone knows that RedNote is going to be the next big thing, which is 100% doing what the American government didn't want. Now everyone on their phone, most Americans have RedNote on their phone app next to TikTok. Both still working. So if America wanted to ban TikTok, sure, but then they're basically letting RedNote run wild. Or if they ban RedNote, we can only assume that'll take another few years. So the best choices here are really just to put a tighter leash on TikTok and let it live and hope people stop using RedNote, or make a better alternative to both TikTok and RedNote by having a better algorithm, but also something Americans really wanted was the algorithm because it's so good. Once they get their grubby little hands on it, let's be real, they're not going to take it away like the kindergarten teacher. You shouldn't run with scissors, so give me those. They're going to take it and be like, okay, now I'm going to run with the scissors. And I'm actually going to charge at people with them. So let's entertain the idea that TikTok hands over the algorithm on a silver platter. Let's be real, Americans are going to use it for themselves, and it's going to become much more widespread and no longer like a secretive thing, if it is even now. Because American companies, even if America handpicks those companies, that will lead to a lot of insider information, hence a lot of leaks, and then there will be enough fragments for people to piece together and figure it out for themselves, and then everyone will have it. People are horribly addicted to TikTok. and being sentimental to the algorithm, naturally causing more people to sink more hours into the app, which honestly, I think people have a parasocial relationship with the TikTok algorithm, and I don't know how to feel about that, but I mean, whatever gets you off, I suppose. If you're one of those many boomers who are like, how dare TikTok do this? How dare they even exist in our country? They've ruined the next generation. And to that I say, you're not wrong. People's attention spans have basically been terminal, or basically like a terminal illness at this point. But let's be real, we were fucked anyways. Have you seen the housing market? Do you know how much student tuition is? Like, we didn't have a chance. And let's be real, you're watching me explain the toxic breakup between TikTok and America. Like, this generation was already finished. But also, massive reason why TikTok should not be banned is because it's kind of small companies' only choice. If you're like a small company and you want to make it big, your best hope is TikTok or social media in general. Because if a large company sees you, they can easily smuggle you out. Or if you're even doing relatively successful, it will still only be in your city, which is a lot harder to reach a much wider spread of people if you want to really become successful. TikTok has made it very possible for a lot of people to not only do that, improve their own businesses, but also get revenue from TikTok themselves. Some people just live off of that revenue, and some people need it. That's some people's like livelihood you're taking away. Say the US does ban TikTok, there's a lot of lives that are going to be affected by that. Something else, one more, this is the last thing, I swear. If you still have TikTok on your phone, don't delete it. When the ban first took place, many people deleted the app, as you naturally would do, because it's a dead app. But because it came back, many people can, but no one else can get it back because they've removed it off the App Store. And it will stay that way until some American company decides to buy it back and put it back up. Until then, TikTok just doesn't exist on the App Store. So some people are selling their phones for a lot of money just for TikTok. And remember how I said it's a lot of people's livelihood? It might end up justifying the use of losing $10,000 if it means you can still promote your brand and company, or even just make back the money that you previously made and continue making short content. So that's basically everything that came to. The court system is stupid and horribly long. Trump is fighting his best fight, I suppose. So whether this makes you a Trump supporter or not, it doesn't matter to me. Some Chinese people are begging for Americans to get off Red Note, which is honestly kind of reasonable. It is kind of like when the British just took over the First Nations. It's like the Chinese had Red Note first. We just kind of came in and claimed it. He just colonized Red Note. I think that's kind of what happened, isn't it? I guess the world really isn't changing. But that's about it. Bye bye. How you doing? Hi, so this video was meant to come out more than a week ago, actually. It's almost been a month, over a month since the ban. And if you're watching this, you probably already know that. So, unfortunately, in that time, I got incredibly sick for weeks, and yeah, no, it was horrible. But let me catch you up to what happened recently. Although it wasn't much, it's more than enough. So, remember how I mentioned Trump, that guy, was TikTok's hero, their saving grace, and probably half the reason he got so many votes. Something I failed to mention was that Trump, while he was in presidency in 2020, issued the first bill that started all of this banning TikTok. So Long story short, Trump planted it as as an easy way to win over the votes of the young. Probably not, but something like that. But basically, Trump issued the first bill, which started the whole TikTok ban, considering it or calling it a security risk, which is basically all the entire reasoning for banning TikTok. And eventually, Biden took it up and continued it, and now here we are, where now Trump has oddly switched sides, which I wonder how much cash money that could have been. Allegedly. Allegedly. Now, since we all also know that the app Red Note became rather popular once TikTok has been banned, and that is probably the biggest security risk. Yeah, that was definitely the national security risk that Trump claimed TikTok to be way back in 2020. But active users of Red Note are angry that Americans are still on the app, and that is likely because TikTok is still in the air even though it's been a month. The ban took place, yada yada yada. Now, active users of RedNote want Americans off the app because they are ruining it, which is completely fair. We did colonize it after all, and it seems that most people will lay off RedNote so long as TikTok is around, but until it's in the clear, there's quite the high possibility that people will still upload, which not many people who use the app before are very happy since not even all the videos that are uploaded are translated, and the ones that are probably are poorly done through Google Translate. But hey, Google Translate got me through French. Something I intentionally did not mention was how during the first ban on January 18th, many of them want to say goodbye. Thank you, even. You've changed my life. You've made it so fun. So many heartwarming things to share with the community. Yet somehow the final trend was let's expose the biggest lie that we've told our community. Some creators just exposed themselves and just said, oh, by the way, this thing you thought about me or thought that I did, completely wrong. I did the exact opposite. I actually threw it all away. You thought I made some cool ice cubes? Nope, I threw it all away. Or gave it away, supposedly. And since TikTok came back, and many users saw those videos and were very rightfully upset because they've been lied to. It's also like they had the goal to not only do that, not only lie to them in the first place, but then also kind of mock them by saying, "Oh, by the way, we lied to you. Yeah, I did it, and I'd do it again too." I don't know. That's kind of what it felt like, and that sucks. Some of them did not make sense, and some of them I can honestly call the community stupid for believing, but here we are. I also don't know what they were thinking. Like, the rule on the internet, as far as back as the internet has existed, once you upload something online, it is forever online and forever accessible to whoever. I'm flabbergasted that these creators had the gall to not only do that, but think, oh, by the way, my account's gonna be deleted, so it's not like anyone will see it, only for it to come back. Karma to strike, and then on top of that, some just not have the common sense to think, it's the internet though. How hard could that have been, really? Lastly, TikTok has been extended for the ban for about 75 days. I got it wrong the first time. And since everyone knows that the users are just going to go to RedNote just out of spite, the government has decided that in order for people to not go to RedNote and leak whatever, they decided that they'll keep TikTok on a tighter leash. I predicted this before, but here it is again. They decided to keep them on a tighter leash, essentially being 50% of what TikTok owns. 50% of TikTok will be owned by ByteDance, and the other 50 will be owned by an American company. Many rich companies and rich people are trying to get involved and get a piece of that pie, such as Trump himself, Mr. Beast, and likely dozens of others that we might never know. And honestly, while these Americans may take 50%, I don't know, I said 5, a very high likelihood that that will change the app however they want because they own 50%, right? They could change it however they want, and whatever changes maybe aren't as favorable. So cherish how it looks like now. Oh, and by the way, the app has now been put back onto the App Store because of just so much high demand, and the Supreme Court said it was okay, probably because they issued that some company has to take that half. So it's back online. No one's gonna be spending 10K on a single iPhone that they probably already own just because it has TikTok. And okay, you are practically all caught up. Now, there are still many missing details I failed to mention, even in previously, but I consider this the spark notes of the events that happened and pure comedy, honestly. Now, if you've watched this far, I'd appreciate a subscription and also a like. And by the way, the Duolingo bird has been killed by someone or something, so that's interesting. And then it was suddenly revived. The Duolingo stock has gone up and down as this trend has been going on. It's very popular. It's very confusing. I don't know how it happened, honestly. Chipotle got involved. Chipotle. How? Why? And anyways, here's Pikachu.
Pikachu, use headbutt!
Alright, so I've procrastinated on this for quite a while on top of being sick. So I'm gonna just run you through whatever off the top of my dome, if you will. Sorry. But basically, I thought TikTok would be bought out. It wasn't, and ended up that no one ended up being accepted. So the ban is gonna happen technically tomorrow. Yep, it took me 75 days to get here. But we're here. So TikTok's gonna be banned tomorrow, and no one has made a good enough offer for them to accept, apparently. Now, I think it's also possible that that TikTok themselves is going to try and leverage the fact that Red Note is of existence and that it will cause more problems. So the government will want to not let that happen. So hence, they will keep TikTok around. Or Amazon threw in a last minute bid, and hopefully that may be accepted. If not, TikTok looks like it will be banned. Supposedly, there's talks that there's gonna be a deal going through, but if anything, the ban is probably just gonna be extended again, as some people say. It's possible we'll also have a remake of a part two, even of the original ban, and so it's also possible that Trump will try and leverage his ability to ban it officially or let it continue because he did supposedly want some percent of TikTok, and if he does get TikTok, it's probably going to be just a massive push for his own political agenda, which is probably going to be exactly what Twitter was, what happened to Twitter, and then Elon Musk took it over, and now it's like horrible. There really wasn't much to go over, honestly. But the ban is going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen after. It's a complete wreck. No one's really sure. Everyone's exhausted. People are honestly just wishing it would just go away at this point because of how tiring it's been. No one's even sure anymore as to whether or not they should even bother trying to keep TikTok around if it's going to keep being so on and off. But yeah, there you go. That's basically everything that's happened. People are just exhausted. The ban's going to happen. Maybe it may be extended. If it's not, then I guess not. I don't know. I'm not a political figure. But yeah, no, that's it. Bye bye.